Thank you. So I'm thrilled to see so many of you come to be in the session today as well. I thought, probably most people have seen it yesterday and I could have a break now, but I've been delighted that there's all of this interest in it. So thank you and welcome to coming into this session. Let me do a very quick survey. Who's in education in the room? Okay, great. Who's in social services in the room? Yeah, thank you. And health? Yeah, okay. And who have I missed? Community development, community centres, community work? Yeah, great. Okay, thank you. So Jade Speaks Up, as I referred to it, it was a part of what grew out of our work in schools. We created, or I created initially this program called Violence Free Begins With Me, which was basically a whole term's worth of work, around about 12 weeks worth of work. And it was hard to get schools to make a commitment to stepping into that bigger time commitment because it was just too long. Even though they liked what happened, it was very popular and the children loved it and they all recommended that others do it as well. It really wasn't very practical for us. And we also had a significant learning on the way to that. The first iteration, I went in with my colleagues from the community work area, and it was really hard to go into classrooms that we didn't have a relationship with the children with. Often the teachers would think, great, this is a chance for me to catch up on the marking. I'll leave the experts to deal with things, and then, they can't cope with my nasty kids any better than I can, etc. It just wasn't a way that worked, and so that we realised that we needed to train teachers to deliver the work that we were doing, and so that made a significant change to the way that program worked. But still, the question about commitment of time. And as part of that program, we were using an American cartoon called Tulip Doesn't Feel Safe. And it was quite good and it kind of worked. But I came to the place of realising that as the work was getting more attention, it wasn't so flash having a pirated copy of a pirated copy, that I'd better be a bit more professional about that. And so I found the people that developed it in the States. I bought my own copy. It cost me $200 American for a video and 2 cyclostyled sheets of paper with some suggested exercises on it. And so at least I had a legitimate copy. And then when I realised, I'm so sick of kind of trying to translate the American stuff into our context, I asked if we could make some changes to the video, and they said, yeah, sure, you can do that. You can do it all at your own cost, and we'll charge you $50 American for every copy that you make. And so I thought, we'll just make our own. And I actually had no idea what I was starting in on, but what I'm going to show you today is the result of 4 years of work with a lot of consultation and collaboration and co-creation to create a resource for children, and so that it's children aged between 8 and 12, but you can show it to younger children and you can show it to older children as well, and adults really respond to it. I'll be interested to hear your feedback when you see it as well. Why do we bother? In New Zealand, we have 110,000 call-outs every year, or in 2015, that was the number, 110,000 call-outs that police made to incidences of family violence that was serious enough, I think, getting slightly weary, serious enough for police to be called in. We found that that was an unacceptable number. That's pretty much 1 every 3 minutes, day and night, over a whole year. In our sector, we believe that as much as 80% of incidences of family violence never get reported. No one ever says, hey, this isn't okay, and does anything about it. So we know that that's the very tip of the iceberg is what is officially reported. And just in case you think, oh, it's just because you Kiwis are so violent over there, I had a look at some Australian figures as well, and the Personal Safety Survey of 2012, which was your last biggest thing where you had over 17,000 people surveyed, so it was a significant piece of research, showed that 17% of women and 5% of men over the age of 15 experience violence at the hands of a partner or an ex-partner. That's high too. And, there's talking about 1 in 6 women experience violence by a partner, and 1 in 3 in their lifetimes experience violence. And even though there are 4 times as many women being subjected to violence as men, there are men who are subjected to family violence as well. So it's not just a gendered issue. The problem too with the police coming in is that, we found out that there were 2,000 call-outs in one particular year in our local city, and there were no more than 500 children who were actually getting any attention as a result of that. It's easy to intervene in a family violence situation and stop the adults fighting without actually recognising that the children who are witnessing the violence are also very severely impacted by it as well. So some of our thinking about this, and this is a very bad example of the Duluth Power and Control Wheel, but just in case any of you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It comes from a place called Duluth in the States, and it is a wheel that shows that violence is in many forms. It's not just the physical violence. It can be emotional manipulation, it can be economic manipulation, it can be isolation from social things. Oh, I don't feel like seeing your bloody relatives, why do they come around here again? Or, no, you can't go off and see such and such, or, you've got to be phoning me all the time to let me know where you are, etc. They're all different subtle ways of control and violence that can happen. And a lot of these become normalised. We become so used to them that we don't even think of them as violence. But I just want to, point out to you that there are many different forms that violence takes that we're talking about, and that we're not just in a position of saying that we're just stopping the physical hurting. So when children are exposed to violence, they're living in a toxic mix of tension and stress, of fear, of tentativeness about doing things that become endemic within that household. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, I never hit her in front of the kids, so the kids don't know. The children know. They hear the voices. They can feel the energy of tension and fright, fear. They can see, some of the bruises that their parent has. They certainly know that violence has happened. And so that when children are witnessing violence, it really impacts both on their brain development. So, this can happen even when you're still being carried in your mother's belly. That the cortisol, the toxic kind of chemical, can really affect the way that our brains develop. And that as you grow, that you don't thrive if you're in a place where you're in a tense or frightened place a lot of the time. They lead on into a whole lot of later on areas, like addictions, like anxiety and depression and suicide. And also the poor role modelling that can happen when a child grows up around a family where there is this tension and kind of imminent danger, and there means that often children don't ever learn about being calm. They don't learn about, trusting their own guts, of being able to centre into themselves and just be still, because they've got to kind of be, oh, I wonder what's happening next, and oh God, Dad's angry today, or, oh, he's late home, he's been drinking, or, Mum's in a really bad mood, I'm not going to say anything. And so that, children are in that sort of state of vigilance, which actually makes it very hard for them to just relax and just be, just to feel comfortable, or that they normalise it. And often they'll also model some of the behaviours that they see adults using to cope with that kind of tension, because it's not that much fun being in an environment that's not safe and sometimes drugs and alcohol, and that get used as a way of numbing down or helping you step out of it for a while. And so that the children are watching, the children are observing what's going on as well. And yet children actually want to live lives where they're safe and they're loved and they're secure. And so we don't want to just ignore their needs in this situation about the adults and their violence. When we think about making a change around family violence, we have to really think, how do we do this? Because there's in the middle of that circle there, you'll see the family. And often in our culture, there's a real strong message that says that family business is family business, and you don't bring other people into it. And so that, it's quite a delicate area, and, people talk about nanny state, and that as if, why is the government wanting to intervene here as well? And yet, even within that central core, there are people who are bystanders to what's going on. And so it might be the parents or the parents-in-law or the neighbours or, the good friends, or sometimes the kids who have left home that can see that things aren't that good at home anymore. The people that we work with that know that, things aren't that great at home that you might trust and talk about with it. And so, slowly people do become aware of the things that are going on. The next cycle around that is, some of the institutions that we interact with, like our schools and our churches, and in New Zealand, the marae, the cultural communities, the wider tribal groups, the health services, the community groups, like when we heard from Nigel talking about Victoria, all of those people knew that Victoria was in danger, and yet they didn't talk with each other to actually share their concerns. And so that suddenly, she's dead. And yet there were a whole lot of markers and potential moments to intervene. And it made me cry to hear that she'd felt safe when she was in hospital. She felt like she was, happy there, and that she'd wanted to go home, not just back to the place where her aunt or someone was looking after her and abusing her. And so, we have these organisations that interact with the communities and with the families who see these things. And then we also have the wider side, the policy, the government decision makers, the lawyers, the prisons, the welfare support, and that wider area, who are all aware of these issues, but not necessarily taking action. So if we want to change, we have to change on all of those different levels, but it needs different strategies for different levels. And we decided we wanted to really go into the lives of children as much as possible through the schools and the social services, and so that was the intention behind what we created. I just will briefly go through some of the things, because I covered some of this in my talk earlier on this morning, but the It's Not Okay campaign raised a lot of awareness around putting out that phrase, it's not okay, family violence is not okay, and it is okay to ask for help. So, some of those things have become kind of embedded into our unconsciousness almost around it. There's been significant shifts that have been happening in New Zealand around vulnerable children, and among the things that have gone on has been the Vulnerable Children's Act and these children's action teams, and we've just heard that there's going to be a Minister for Vulnerable Children who will be starting their role next April. So, there's been quite a commitment at the governmental level as well as the local level. We have really good, easily accessible research that's done on family violence. So there's the New Zealand Family Violence Clearinghouse, which is available online, and you can get all of the latest data and studies, and that not just from New Zealand, but they gather it internationally as well. And then on the local level, we have things like We Can, which is the Children's Action Network that helps us to step into bringing more collaboration between the different agencies, so that we know that we're all working on the same page around these issues that are affecting our children. And the It's Not Okay campaign, and just to throw up some of their intentions in front of you, that what they're really challenging is the attitude that family violence is just the way that it is. It's normal. People aren't going to change. private space, etc. Some of the unexamined gender issues of male entitlement and domination, the acceptance of physical punishment, and I talked about that again this morning too, about the difference between punishment and discipline in the way that we raise our children. And again, that might is right, that if I can threaten or, be credible in my use of violence to get my way, then, that's okay. And also the thing that it's never going to happen to me, or not in my neighbourhood, or not in my church, or not in my, my work. We're beyond that kind of stuff. Well, sorry, that's just nonsense. It happens right across the social spectrum. And some of the things that we've identified as being measures of that is that people understand more about family violence, that the conversations are there, we talk about it some more, that we won't tolerate violence when we come across it, we don't hold back on intervening safely, to be confident that you can change. It doesn't have to be like that just because it is like that at the moment, and quickly and early in the problems to ask for help. To realise that there's a spiral that goes on that gets more and more serious, and we all know the cycles, or you probably know the cycles working in this sector around the the build up to a tension, a blowout, and then the honeymoon stage, the apologies and the repair, and then back into the building up again, and so that if violence is happening, unless you get some really strong will to help you change that, it is something that can often continue on. And that we want to more and more make respect, equality, safety the norm, and to recognise that everyone can do something about it. And children, what do they need to keep themselves safe? Well, again, it's not rocket science. They use the same frame there, that children want to feel loved, they want to feel safe, they want to feel secure. And no matter how many surveys that you have done, that's going to come up every time. They need to know that they've got some adults around them that they can trust, not all children do, and that they need to have a sense that they belong to a community, that they are part of a wider group of people that they can have connections with, and also who to, or how to ask for help, and who to ask, and how to actually get that help too, and that they do have the right to be safe. And a lot of children don't actually even understand that. So I'm not going to talk more about this, but this is the companion to the power and control wheel, is the non-violence, the equality wheel, and it's a really helpful one to look at. What's a template for good relationships, that you can use it when you're working with others. And then this is just about our organisation, our mission statement: to promote violence-free communities by creating projects, events and tools that support people to enjoy active participation in their community. And I realise I haven't got a child in there, we've changed it. So, but our symbol with the little feather on top of the bigger feather is the child being embraced and supported, nurtured by the wider community. So I want to go on to the DVD, and I don't know if this is when you need to do your rush up to the front for me, please, Zoe. And so we made this DVD. It took me 4 years to work on it, from the time that I realised that I wanted to do it, to creating the script, bringing the collaborators together, bringing the co-creators together, testing our storyboards with children and the community, finding our animators. We decided that we wanted to do an animated version that wouldn't date, because even though there's some really good film around, within 5 years kids are saying, oh, no one has their hair like that anymore, or, doesn't that look stupid? And so we wanted to take away as many obstacles as we could from children being able to just really relate to what this thing is about. And so we have made an 8.5-minute video, which I'm going to show you. So just for a moment, put things down off your laps and just take a deep breath. This is quite a, well, I won't say any more about it. You know what it's about, and I'll look forward to hearing from you afterwards. Thank you.
See you, kids. Have an awesome day. Come on, mate. You're going to be late. Get in there. Go for it.
It's all right.
Hi, Jade. Your ukulele's waiting.
Don't. You okay? What happened?
Enough of this. That was my... What are you looking at? You can't even organise breakfast.
Nothing. Jade.
You okay? Well, you look a bit tired. Oh, hey, and a bit worried too. Hey, all good at home?
Jade, come on, it's your turn.
G'day, class. Hello, everybody. Hello, my new... Okay, so has everyone written something about your feelings? Ready to share what you've got? You know what? I felt bad, scared of me.
Yeah, when I saw my sister's scary DVD.
When a burglar nicked our stuff, and I thought he might be hiding in my room. Well, go on.
When Ollie put that spider in my sleeping bag at camp, I screamed, then I wanted to stuff it down his pants.
What?
When I was in that big earthquake at my nan's.
Ollie was scared.
When my cousin said, give me those lollies, or I'll smash your face in.
Oh, yeah, I would have been scared too.
Nah, you're bigger.
And then I got mad. I wanted to smash him.
Yeah, I would have been mad too. It's not okay to hurt someone, even if you're feeling pain.
No, it's not okay. It's not okay.
Okay, okay, so we all get scared and we all get mad, and we all have the right to be safe, right? And when we're not safe, we need a plan, like an earthquake plan, eh?
Yeah, like drop and cover.
Very good, very good. Okay, here's the plan when you're feeling scared or mad. Breathe, think, and do. Ready? I'll go first, then you repeat after me. Breathe, think, and do. Breathe, think, and do. Your turn.
Breathe. Think and do. Breathe. Think and do. Dad.
Breathe. Think and do.
Thanks, Manu. Thank you very much. Thank you, class. Okay. So we all get it. Breathe in, breathe out. Say to yourself, I've got the right to be safe. Big breath. All right, now breathe out. Feel strong. I've got the right to be safe.
I've got the right to be safe.
Choice. Got it? Remember to think and do something. Imagine you've just taken the breath, you've reminded yourself you've got the right to be safe. Now, are you safe where you are?
That spider's gonna bite me on the bum.
You're not safe.
And I want to get Ollie.
You're not safe. Move.
The burglar's back.
Get somewhere safe.
Oh no, it's another earthquake.
Get somewhere safe.
My cousin's gonna get me, and I hate him.
Get somewhere safe.
Okay, so find somewhere safe, then find an adult. Who will help you be safe, eh?
You.
My family.
My sister, she's tough. And my cat.
Mommy.
Not my family. Geeta at the dairy.
Tom next door. All the cops.
Nah, that'd get everyone in trouble.
Don't want to get anyone in trouble.
I know, Jade. But a scary person is like an earthquake. You don't know what will happen next. You need an adult to help. And the police can help sometimes, catching burglars, eh?
Yeah.
Now, grab a piece of paper and something to draw with. On each finger, write the name of someone who will help you.
On your thumb, write 000. Get help like a hero. Dial 000. On your thumb, write 000. Get help like a hero. Dial 000.
See you, boys. See you guys tomorrow. Have an awesome day.
Get inside and tidy up. Dad'll be home soon. Jade, Jasper, come on. Dad's on his way.
There are dickheads all over the road. Where do they get their licenses from? Hi, kids.
It won't be long.
She hasn't got a clue, has she, son? I've been at work all day. She does nothing. And I'm starving.
I'm sorry, it won't be long.
Don't you ever clean up this dump? Look at it. You get the kids to do it, huh? I work, I come home, and you give me attitude. And look at this. I wouldn't even feed it to a dog.
Can you not talk like this in front of the kids?
Excuse me? Get out of, will you get out of my way? Get out of my way. Get out of my way.
I've got the right to be safe.
Can we just sit down?
Get out of my way. Don't touch me.
No, no.
Well, get out of my way. You think our kids are stupid? They're not stupid. Get out of my way. Enough of this.
Hey, I'm scared too, but I've thought about it and I know what to do. Shh, it's okay. Nana, it's Jade. I'm scared. Please come.
Well, what's happening, honey?
It's Dad again.
Is Jasper with you?
He's here.
Are you at home?
Yeah.
Don't worry, Jade. We're on our way.
Yeah, we're leaving right now.
Stay on the phone, love.
Please hurry. Nana.
Oh, there you
It's
are.
okay, Jade. You go home with Nana.
Okay.
Yeah, come on. Papa's going to sort things out here. You and Jasper come home with me. You did the best thing, Jade. You guys are safe now. Come on, let's go home.
Thank you. Just take a moment to be still in yourself and to just notice what you feel and what you noticed about watching that. Maybe just share with someone near you just for a minute or two. Just anything that comes up top for you about it, and then we'll do some talking about it together. Next one. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. Yeah, I'll go on to the next one here. Thank you, that's great. Okay, thank you. So, any comments that any of you want to make about what you've just seen? The teacher was great. Isn't he lovely? Does that happen? There are some really fantastic teachers like that. Yeah. We especially, we thought, how do we do a film where the dad is the abuser without actually really thinking about the message that might imply? And so we deliberately made a really cool, nurturing and caring and playful teacher. And so that it's not all men that you have to be afraid of, you know, like men can be our allies as well. Yeah. We quite like our teacher, yeah. Is this taught in schools? It's very slowly getting into schools. There's some resistance to it because it's actually going outside your 3 hours and the other requirements that you have to teach in schools. But it totally aligns with the health curriculum so that it is very much, doing this meets your requirements around the health curriculum, around healthy, respectful relationships. And so it's slowly going into schools. I'll talk some more about how we're actually in the stages at the moment of a pilot project which we are really fully evaluating. And so that alongside this now we've developed a whole pre and post questionnaire and some things. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And I think that the research will actually help it go into schools a little bit more. But when we first took it to the education department, they said, this is really great, it aligns totally with our promoting positive behaviour for learning, which is a thing that all teachers have to go through, or schools, when they're ready. And but they said, we didn't commission this, so we don't feel any obligation to promote it for you, which was kind of like, oh. But social workers in schools have taken them into schools, and a lot of guidance counsellors and a lot of teachers have just said, I need to deal with this in my community. And so it's happening in pockets, but it's probably being more used in the non-government sector at the moment. Yeah. Hi. Right, right. Yes, that potential's there. And one of the stories that we use in the manual is of one of my colleagues who, when he was a child, he did call his grandmother. I might have mentioned it this morning, I can't remember now. But he called his grandmother and sort of said, Nan, Dad's beating up Mum, and what shall I do? And she said, call the cops. And then Dad came home furious that he'd been arrested and taken away for the night, and who told the cops? And Junior did, pointing at, him as a boy. And so he got a huge hiding for that. So yes, there are the potential for kickback things, but we thought long and hard about the ending. And a lot of people say, well, what happened next? What happened to Mum? And was Papa safe going in to, intervene and everything? And that's sort of the discussion thing about what does happen next as well. But we wanted to make sure that children got the message that all they need to do is keep themselves safe and let someone that they know that it's going on. Someone that they trust know what's going on. And so that the breathe, think, do message is about centering yourself, thinking about your safety plan that you've made. We get them to concretise it by putting people's phone numbers on the fingers, so you've probably picked up them, but if any of you haven't, there was a table down the back with extra of the safety plans and the bookmarks that we put with it as well. Because it isn't the children's business to actually try and stop the fight. Yes, there are consequences, but not speaking up has even more consequences, ultimately. Yeah. 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 Thank you. Absolutely, yeah, that's right. And we've also had people say, oh, that's not violent. You should sort of seen what happened to my family or what happens in my community. But we didn't want to make it so intense that children who are not exposed to family violence would be traumatised by it. Because children are very open, there's a huge responsibility when you put this in front of a class of just random kids that, we take care of them and their sensitivities around it as well. Yeah, thank you for your affirmation. It's one of my pieces of work that I feel really proud of, and, definitely still very, wanting to care about it. And, certainly listening to both Nigel and Liz say, look, you've got to be in here for the long haul, and social change work is long haul work, and hey, this has only been 6 years so far, I can go another 5 and just slowly nurture it and get it out there and have conversations and have opportunities like coming to talk with you all about it as well, that I know are going to help it get out there and reach the people. This was the Australian version, because, you stupid Australians, why can't you just be like us Kiwis? We know it all, And so our emergency number is 111. So on your thumb, write 111. And you were 000, so I had to think of another, jingle. So, there was the one that came up with about, be a real hero and dial 000. We changed weta, which is a very scary insect in New Zealand, to spider, because, Australians looked at weta, that didn't have any resonance. And we know that you don't have earthquakes over here very much, but I was talking yesterday with a colleague, and he said, well, maybe the drop, cover and roll, for the bushfire or the fire drill could be an equivalent type thing, so that you have. So we want to embed the idea that there's a plan that you have that you can put into place for when you need it, and then forget about it, and make it easily accessible. So it's a 2-disc set, and sadly we made it right on the sunset of the discs. A lot of computers don't even have disc players anymore, so we are exploring some possibilities of at least putting them onto flash drives for people. But, and we haven't put it on YouTube. We don't want children to see this on their own. We want them to see it when they're in a situation where there are people that can guide them to talk about it as well. And so that our manual, this is one of the manuals, so this is the teacher's manual and all the alignment to the health curriculum and other areas of resonance with it. And it goes through the whole thing about how do we build relationships that are safe and trusting, how do we communicate about our feelings, how do we make safety plans, how do we make good choices, and how do we keep ourselves safe. And so that it's a whole package that fits more than just about family violence. And we're confident that they will be transferable things for children to be able to use as they get older. But there's also a manual for therapists, social workers, and there's also a manual for parent educators. Because a lot of parents, have said, look, if we'd known that when we were young, it would have been a different life story for us as well. I won't give you the feedback. People like it. People say that it addresses the issues really well, and that they are very happy with it. But until we properly get that evaluated, can I just check the time?